All right, guys, EYL, we are back from the NFLPA house at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We are having a legendary run of conversations, and this will live up to it, I'm sure.
This has been fun.
Calais Campbell, the legendary U.
What year?
This is my 15th season.
No, what year the U?
Oh, I was there from 04. I was in 08 draft. So.
04? Okay. Because I was going to say, the greatest college team of all time.
Oh, yeah, I ain't that old.
2001. 2001.
Yeah, the boys was different. And I appreciate some teams that came after that. There's some teams that were really talented after that.
Yeah.
But them boys was different. Hall of Famers.
Yeah, okay.
15 years in the NFL, that's almost impossible to accomplish.
Fact.
That's the average playing career is 3 years.
Yep.
So 15 years is like, you're like LeBron at this point. Like
Certified legend.
Yeah.
Certified legend.
I say, it's not easy, but, there's a few of the greats have done it. I track, Bruce Smith, 19 years, Julius Pepper, 17 years, I don't know how many, if this might be it, but I might play one more, who knows, we'll see. But, you love the game, just playing football, that's it,
And you're heavily involved in the NFLPA executive committee. You was on 2020 named, and then you are a philanthropist as well. You talk about your foundation, and I know you were the Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yes, sir.
That's an impressive accomplishment.
Award.
Yes. So, a lot to talk about. But first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. So, all right, let's talk about, I want to talk about the business and all that, but let's talk about football. To have the longevity of playing 15 years, it's not done by accident, right? So, referencing LeBron, it's well documented. He spends $1 million a year on his body, and everybody that plays with him has always said that even I know people that knew him in AAU and they was like he was eating fruits and all that when he was in high school. Like, take care of your body. You have to live a certain lifestyle. You have to have discipline to last this long. So can you talk about that? Like, what has been the keys to your longevity?
Yeah, so I'm not spending $1 million like LeBron. I spend a pretty penny though. I budget this year. I budgeted $300,000 for my body. And that's just trying to fly in the best, and people that I just know who have experience on my body to come in and make sure that I can get my full value. And a lot of times I tell these young bucks to invest in your future. So, that's as well as business, but in football future, the salary cap is going up every year. It has, consistently exception of COVID, and they got to get that money to somebody. They got to pay pretty much 89% of the salary cap has to go out in cash every year. And so for me, it's like, man, if they got all this money out there, they have to get to somebody. And you mean to tell me that if I can make extra 5-6 plays a year, it's going to affect my value tremendously. Then for me, like, I'm going to turn over every stone. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting, the proper nutrition. I'm getting the proper body work. I'm getting the proper sleep. I'm using the proper machines to help me recover, from, the hyperbaric chamber, Normatec boots, and, all the different things that exist out there. I got a, art machine for make sure, you help get back from injuries faster. And I got people who are very qualified and talented to come through and really work my body, because if I can make the extra few plays, for me now, it's just, I can add another year of football, which is another year of earning potential that I can't get in the regular world easily. And so for me, like, if I could play, if I can add another year, I think my contract next year is gonna be $6.5 million. Of course, $300,000 is worth it. If I invest $300,000 to be able to play one more year and get 6.5, that's easy. And for these young guys, I'm like, okay, your goal is to get the second contract, but the biggest thing is just adding plays, adding production, and that grows your value. So, my routine, it's brutal. It's more about, for me, it's more about the time away from my family that it takes for me to go out and do it again. That's why I hesitate maybe if I was to play again or not, but I'm leaning towards playing again. But it's just the time that goes into it, because a lot of times, like, it's the money, but it's also like I got to spend 2 hours, with my massage therapist, 2 hours with my or hour and a half with my needle guy, cupping and everything else. So it's a battle.
That's, I never thought about that. And people probably don't think about it, right? The average fan, like you mentioned, making a few more plays. And so the importance of, pressuring the quarterback, having 3 or 4 more sacks, having a couple of forced fumbles. When you're negotiating your contract, right?
Huge.
That can separate, like, you from making $6.5 million a year to being like, yo, you might be cut, right? Can you talk about having those type of statistics, and are there specific numbers that, I guess, at your position on the D line, is there a number that you should be getting to, right? Because people look at Aaron Donald and be like, oh, he's the greatest, but yeah, he's disruptive, but some of his things don't go on the stat line.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. Is you want to be just consistent across the board. Consistency. It shows that coaches can count on you. But if you go from just like a standpoint of like value, it's like the housing market. Whatever the person made that summer production the year before is kind of your floor for what you're gonna get. When you're trying to be a free agent. And so if I'm a D lineman, I go back to my actual experience. I'm 2011. It's going to my contract year, and there wasn't back then there wasn't a lot of interior rushers getting 10 sacks. If you can get 6,
a lot.
7, 8 sacks, that was the high number for the interior guys. Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, they came through, and J.J.'s more outside, but he plays a little interior too. Yeah. But they came through and changed the game. Chris Jones. This stuff is way different now, but the game has changed too. Back then it was a little more of a running game too, still, but. So the number was, if you can get to 8 sacks, you were a premier pass rusher inside. And so, my mindset was, all right, cool. My production level, my contract here, I got 8 sacks. I had the block kicks. I had, added, different ways of value. And, you look at what the market was going for, it was just if I would have been, had my same, statistics, but I'd have only got 3 or 4 sacks, would have had a few less batted balls or some kind of way of chasing game, I'm going to the market and they're going to be like, okay, your production based off what other guys are getting, that's $2-3 million a year versus, $11 million a year I end up getting, which is crazy because the difference between those 4 or 5 plays is the difference between, $8-9 million a year, which, over time is huge.
Adds up.
So you said $300,000 for your body. Can you just break that down? What does that include? A nutritionist, a personal trainer, a massage person?
Yeah,
What's that?
Between chef, I do an ankle specialist that comes up and just works on my ankles and knees and hips, but really ankles is where I really feel the difference. I have a massage lady that comes in, is there. I get 5 massages a week from her weekly. And I give her a salary for being up there for the whole year with me. And then I fly everybody else in. I got a guy who comes in. He's a body specialist, but I use needles. And then if I have something bother me, he does deep tissue as well. So from a chef, from my massage therapist, and then flying in specialists whenever I need them for different things, which I have people coming regularly on. And then
personal trainer?
I don't even factor in the personal training off season in that number, so that's separate. But the personal training off season, and then because I'll spend part of the year training in Phoenix, part of the year training in Thousand Oaks in California. And then I'm on my own when I'm in Miami and stuff. So the way it goes, that's a whole different bucket of resources. But yeah, overall, now I got to run the numbers. I think last year, what I ended up spending was $205. This year it's gonna be a little more than that, but it's still just budgeted, just where I'm gonna be at. But honestly, to spend that much money is only because you're getting the best of the best, and you got to compensate them from being out there and taking time from the other people they can make money from. If you're just doing local people, if I'm a young guy, you don't have to spend $200,000. You just got to find the people that work for you. I just know who works for me, but that's why it comes up to a higher number.
At what point did you get to that number and saying, I need to focus on getting my body right, making sure? Was it maybe after an injury, or were you hit a number in your career and said, all right, let me take this a little bit more serious?
Yeah, so it gradually built, honestly, I did minimal body work till about year 7, I tell guys this all the time, I wish I did it earlier, but I didn't do nothing until about year 7. But I didn't really need too much because I was a freak athlete, and so I had the ability to go out there, and I was very blessed too. I never had really crazy serious injuries. I've been very, very fortunate, and so but after, year 7 came around, and I started feeling just a little bit different. I wanted to I was playing really good ball, but I wasn't a Pro Bowler yet. I didn't get to All Pros yet, and I felt like I was just a step below those guys, and so I was like, let me get more serious about this. So not only did I improve on my taking care of my body, but I also improved on my training and everything else. I really went to being a guy that worked hard to be in the NFL to trying to outwork everybody in the NFL, and that really changed my whole career. And I had the best success, from year 7 on. I guess it depends on what metrics you use, but there's a lot of metrics that will show you that was from year 7 to year 13. That little 6-year stretch. I was a bad man.
This is true.
And but each year I had to add. So I never spent the $200,000 on my body until like last year was the first time getting over that threshold, and then the year before last, and then this last season, I budgeted for 300, but I don't think I got that high. But before then, it was probably like 50. Then it was like 75, and then it was like 100, and it just kind of gradually built up each year. But each year also needed more body work because I'm like, to play and be successful and have a impact on the game, I gotta feel a certain kind of way. And like, as I got them 36 this year, I just played that. I mean, if I play again next year, I'll be 37. Like your body feels a little different than when I was 27. And I was out there, I could go out there and just, I could go out and party Friday night, wouldn't feel a thing, go out there and dominate on Sunday. Now, like everything, I have to get my sleep, full 8 hours. Like I gotta, I'm eating super healthy. I'm drinking, 2 gallons of water every day, and I'm, put my electrolytes in it. I'm like, it's a way different mentality, but my body needs that now. I can't go out there and perform at a high level, what I used to do when I was a kid.
So, talk about, you're an executive committee on NFLPA, right? What does that mean? And what is your experience with the NFLPA? Because we spoke to D. Smith earlier today. So he's in leadership position, but you're a player. So I would like to get your insight on the NFLPA.
Yeah,
no pressure.
Hey man, I'm gonna keep it real, all the time, And so, I joined the PA because people kept coming to me like, "Hey man, you should be in the PA," and like, really just as a rep for the team, I kept getting pushed like, "Yo, you should be a rep, you should be a rep," because guys knew I just cared. I'm always trying to share knowledge and talk to guys, help guys through things. So they was like, "Man, you should be our rep." Excuse me. Eventually I was like, all right, cool. Because I kind of shied away from it because I knew it was extra work. And I was like, I'm trying to hang out, have a good time.
Yeah.
You already got so much time dedicated to playing good football. But then, I would always complain about little things here and there like everybody else does. And then one day, I finally showed up and was like, okay, I'm going to go to the rep meetings. I'm going to go check it out. And I'll be the rep, and they voted me in. And when I got there, I was like, man, I should have been coming. I wish I came here the whole time because this is where, where progress is made. And so, the way the union works is like, it's just the players, we have 32 reps, it's a very high turnover. So it's not like other unions where you get people in the position for a long time and be able to build the experience to be able to know better, and so it's kind of hard because you have so much job turnover and so many new reps coming in. You're always trying to educate people. So it's really tough. So I was like, we need more star players who are going to have like longevity and guys who are going to, be able to be around for a long time. With that team, not just in the NFL, but with a particular team, so they can actually get some progress made. So I was like, as a player, I knew where I was at in the NFL. So I was like, I need to be more involved. So I decided to get more involved, and I was a rep for a few years. And then some people kept telling me like, hey, you should join the EC because I'm in meetings asking questions, just trying to get a feel for things. And I joined the EC, and like my role in the EC really is just to try to, we have our creed about protecting what we've already come from all the people that came before us, maximizing our value now and then leaving a better tomorrow for the guys that come after us, and my mindset is like, okay, like I ain't really worried about me. I'm not worried about what we got going on right now. I'm trying to make, the NFL better for the people that come after us and lead the game stronger than when I came into it. And so, you think about, just the trajectory we've had and like, guys are going to complain all the time. You get, into the locker rooms and a lot of times when guys complain, it's really because they're misinformed. They don't really have all the knowledge. Once you break it down to them, give them the knowledge, then they're like, oh, it makes sense. So it really comes down to like just, communication and making sure we educate our youth on like, just the history of the union and, where we come and, where we're trying to go and stuff like that. And guys, we talk about like, trying to improve our medical benefits for longer term. Because right now we only get 5 years of medical insurance if we're done playing. And then after that, you have an HRA where you can purchase more, but everybody's, going to be different. We talk about improving, so lifetime medical or longer medical history I mean, I lost my train of thought on where I was going next, but either way it goes, there's a lot of things in the union that, we're trying to get done. And it's like, the biggest thing is like, I was thinking about guaranteed contracts, but the biggest thing is like, it really comes down to us coming together, communicating, putting together a plan, and then executing it. And that comes with leadership. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to take a leadership role, and I'm going to try to make sure that we, just put ourselves in position to be stronger. And so, like, you think about the NFL the NFLPA as a business. And like, you think about like, we're a union, but we're also a business. And like, I don't know how many unions, I don't know like a lot about other unions. D. Smith comes on and we talk a lot, and he kind of educates me a lot of other unions and stuff. But I mean, we have, from our dues and everything else, we have we're a $1 billion company. Then you get our licensing and everything else, and the way that's growing, and we're making partnerships with other unions and creating that one team. Then we have, because the one thing about the NFLPA is that every player that comes to the NFL will be a retired player. And so we really took it upon ourselves to make sure that we also help the guys after they get into retirement and stuff. So we have a trust, and we have so many other things that we do. But the biggest thing was just like getting informed and then trying to share that information, because we do a lot of things. I mean, NFL, and the thing I'm pushing the most right now is financial literacy, which is awesome to see you guys here. Because like when I first got to the league, the financial literacy program was trash. I mean, I'm talking about, man, like I'm like, man, y'all ain't really helped me with nothing. Y'all giving me basic stuff like how to balance a checkbook. And, I ain't probably using no checkbook. It's 2008, 2009. Yeah. And but to the union's strength is that, like, okay, I mean, we understood the times are changing, and like, I just went to the leadership summit a couple weeks back, and I saw, we had actual real lessons, people coming in and teaching about business and about like how the different growth vehicles that exist for money, and just like all the different sectors in finance. And it was like, man, like this is something that I should have learned at an earlier age, and I'm glad the young guys are finally getting. And I know it's bigger than one one meeting and one conference. We need consistency. That's why I love what you guys are doing, because you're putting out there consistently. But I think like my biggest my biggest goal with the PA is for us to arm the membership with the tools to be able to create a better future for their families and everything else. So like when I see guys in financial distress, it breaks my heart, because it just has to be able to make it in this league and be able to make a bunch of money in this league, man, you got to hold on to your paper. And so it really is just a full like the PA, we do a lot of stuff, and we make sure that the whole thing is about keeping all of us stronger. And I think that financial literacy about just making sure that we are all in a great position allows us to be more aggressive in what we're pursuing with our partnership with the NFL. Because I mean, at the end of the day, this is a partnership. NFLPA together, we create a great product that is probably the best product on TV. I mean, I think every year we're like the top 50, 45 of the top 50 shows.
85 out of 100.
Yeah, 85 out of 100.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a great partnership, But the thing that I try to push a lot is making sure that the stronger we are as a membership, we can make sure we, I don't know if you remember the lockout and the strikes, all different stuff. We talk about a lot of things. It's like, but until we can all come together and have a position where we can sit from power, that's when we're going to be the strongest to get whatever we want.
What's going on, y'all? That's right. The biggest event in business is upon us. InvestFest 2023 is here, August 25th through the 27th, Atlanta, Georgia. Y'all know who's coming, but bigger than that, Shawty, tell them what they're going to learn.
Yes, you will learn about AI. You will learn about crypto. You will learn about stocks. You will learn about real estate. You will learn about merchandise. You will learn about everything you need to know to be a successful entrepreneur and investor. And you will learn from some of the most successful people in the world, billionaires like Robert Smith, billionaires like Michael Novogratz, and so much more. We have Rich Paul, we have Steve Harvey, we have Tabiti Stevens, we have the master investor himself, we have 19 Keys. The list goes on. This is going to be an event that you cannot afford to miss.
That's right. So head over to investfest.com and get your tickets right now.
So your financial education, because it sounds like you take me as a very inquisitive person, wanted to know, when did your financial education begin, or did you come into the league with knowledge, right? So like, this is one of those, when I just heard you say that it was trash, my first thought was like, is this intentional? Right? Because if I don't educate you, then I can always use you as my customer, right? Until you become educated, and now you might see less people getting agents or less people going in a direction that somebody's pointing to them, so they don't get taken advantage of. And so did you have to go through things to get your financial education?
I mean, it was a process for sure. You know, I mean, my dad was like he was an accountant. He worked for the IRS for a period of time. But you know, I mean, he did a lot of different things. He was big into computers and stuff. But like one thing he did try to do was start businesses. And he taught us a lot about sales. But he didn't really teach us about business as a whole. You know, and he passed away while I was 17, and you know, I wish I could have probably picked his brain a little bit more because I felt like he had a lot of knowledge. Very smart guy. But you know, when I got to the NFL, you know, I mean, pretty much like, I mean, you're on your own. Nobody's telling you anything, and like, you know, it starts kind of like you pick a financial advisor just because you're supposed to, just because that's what everybody else is doing, and you pick a guy based off of, you know, just your network. Your network. You know, so my network was University of Miami. I picked a guy because of John Beeson, you know, and he was a first round pick the year before, and he went through the process I was getting ready to go through. So I asked him like, yo, who's your guy? And he told me his guy, and I had all these people coming at me. They all sound the same because I don't know anything. And so I hired his guy just because, you know, he hired him, you know, and it's kind of funny because, like, I remember having a conversation with him, and I asked him, like, what made you hire him in the first place? And he said, I hired him because, I forgot who it was, but the person that he knew before him.
It was Jonathan Vilma. We just thought about you guys.
Yeah, and whoever it was, it might have been, you know. And, but it's just, you know, I asked him, like, did you do any due diligence? Like, what made you hire him? He was like, nah, you know. And I was like, well, I ain't doing no due diligence either. Like, we just hired a guy just for the heck of it. You know, now, I mean, that guy, you know, might be, you know, a really good guy. You know, might have been a really good guy, you know, really good financial advisor. But at the time, I had no idea because I had no knowledge. And I worked with him for a couple of years, and then he, you know, he had a mistake that, you know, to me just was you couldn't have, and so I ended up firing him and hiring somebody else that was kind of a teacher to me. So the person I ended up with, you know, he tried to get my business, but I didn't go with him originally. But he stayed around, and like every time I had questions with the other guy was doing, the other guy kind of like he made it sound complicated, you know, and I was like, you know, I'm trying to understand it, so break it down for me. And then so, you know, the other guy that I ended up signing with more recently, and I've been with him the whole time since, he started like breaking it down for me, like, this is what this means, this is what that means, you know, this is why you do this, you know, and just started kind of going to it. And, you know, I mean, it was like, I mean, you know, so many different sectors of it that I'm like, man, I want to know it. So, you know, after a while, like, he started making it sound simple enough to me where I was like, okay, let me put some money with you, you know. And then it was like, you know what, let me put all my money with you, you know. So it kind of went away. But it's kind of funny though, because I won't say any names, because the guy I originally went with, you know, he still has a lot of guys out there, and I try to talk to those guys individually about my story. And I don't think the guy is a shark from like my experience. So I think he's a good dude. I think he might have genuinely just made a mistake. But back then, like, they would encourage you to like pay your bills for you. And so like everything was just going through an account that he was setting up. So I didn't even, like, you don't have to look at it if you don't want to. He's paying for everything. And then one day I'm going through my stuff because I knew enough to audit myself. Like, I was just gonna go through my account and really check and see what was being spent off all my bills. I'm going through my stuff, and I see $50,000 just missing. I don't know what it's going for. So I call him up, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take out one of the other players' accounts. You know, I just made a mistake. You know, I'm gonna put it back in right now." And he did. And you know, and to me, it was just like, I don't know if you're incompetent.
Where did it go?
He said it was for one of his other players' grandfathers or something.
Oh, he sent it to another play. He sent it to another situation.
Yeah, it was supposed to be at another player's account going to his grandfather, according to what he said. And to me, it's just like, you know, you can't make that mistake. You know, if I don't go on and look at this, you know, I mean, you know, and I just end up missing it, you know, and I don't know, I can't, I mean, you're telling me that it was just an honest mistake, but from outside looking in, either you were trying to get over on me, or you just, you know, genuinely just were incompetent.
It's like the movie Casino. You ever seen Casino?
Yeah.
When Sam Rothstein, he fired the guy at the slot machine. They was robbing the slot machine, and he set him down. He said, "It's one or two things that's happening here. Either you're in on it, or you're incompetent to realize what's going on. Either way, I can't trust you at this point.
Exactly.
It just is what it is.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta let you go.
Yeah.
You sure you want to do that, Sam?
Didn't work out. Didn't work out
well. Whenever somebody is tough though, like, you ain't like, I'm a football player. You know, I ain't no CEO. I ain't no, you know, businessman at the time, at least. You know,
yeah.
I'm a football player. That's all my knowledge is, you know. And I went to school for advertising. Like, I didn't go to school for business or nothing. So the whole process was like, it was hard. You know, it was an adjustment. You know, but then, you know, after you go through it, like, oh, I want that bad. You know, like, you just got to go through it. You know, and so I ended up going with another guy that he was teaching me and stuff, and we've been together ever since. And he's been a great mentor for me, and we've done, you know, a lot of great things together. And I mean, now I feel like my knowledge, to be able to speak the language and understand it, is, you know, I mean, way better than, you know, it has been. It probably I feel like I can sit in any room and have a conversation with any businessman and hold my own.
After that, did you stop with the bill payment?
Yeah, no, never more. I pay my own bills. Sometimes my credit could have been a lot better because there's definitely times just because being human,
just forgot
opening my mail and stuff and missing things.
Yeah,
and I had to deal with missing some bills and having to pay them later and stuff. So I mean, I'll take that though. I'd rather my credit score be 700 instead of 850 because I
You forgot to pay
for some bills or whatever it may be.
So, all right, let's talk about your foundation. So, I know that's something that's very important to you in charity work that you've done, and giving a lot of money to charity. So, when did that start, and when did you decide to actually get a physical foundation up and running?
When I first got to the league, I was talking with one of my brothers and one of my sisters, and we ate deep. We grew up in my household, and so it's we very family oriented, very close family.
Where'd you grow up at?
Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And so, my dad, just a great father, there every day, teaching us, helping us to kind of like see things from the bigger picture, and like just a great teacher, and so we feel like he had a really good, strong values, core values that we wanted to kind of just put out there in the world. So talking amongst each other, we wanted to start a family foundation named after my father. And so, it's a process, so there's a lot of logistics, a lot of things going into that because, really running a foundation is really running a business.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit business, but it's a business nonetheless. Mm-hmm. We ain't had no business sense, so it took us a while to kind of get going. But, we had the heart. We wanted to kind of, we had, goals and who we want to help. And we want to help kids and really from communities that are similar to where we grew up in. So, we started kind of just doing after school programs and different things. But the biggest thing was just trying to carry on my dad's legacy and what he stood for and instilling those principles into some kids who were less fortunate, didn't have that father that we had.
So, talk about that. Like you said, it's a process. You have to have like a board of directors and what was it that you had to do to set up the foundation?
Back in the day, you think about it, we didn't even know how to how to file the paperwork to even start a foundation right away. It took a while just doing research and everything else. Technology's come a long way and you can get a lot more information way faster. But this is back, it really was after my rookie year. So 2009, 2010, we started going through that process. It took us, a year and a half before we really kind of figured out the logistics of it. And then we really started kind of, doing a lot more in 2010, 2011, creating a board of directors. We kind of was ghetto for a little while, we had big hearts. We tried to do a lot of stuff. But
thug this thing out.
And that's one of the things too. We try to figure out a better way of like today when I talk to guys about what they should do, I'm like, first of all, right now, first thing you should do is just try to figure out what organizations, like what kind of like what kind of like initiatives you want to support. Figure out who's doing a really good job, boots on the ground, whether charities exist doing that, and to support them, create programs together with them. Because I think it's so much better when you have partnerships, people who whoever have experience that are doing it at a high level, and then just you can bring more exposure to them, create programs, or you can help the kids you want to help through their programs, and so it's so much easier doing it that way. So back then, on our own, we were trying to do it on our own. So I'm trying to create these new programs. You're hiring people, doing a lot of stuff, and it was just like I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot, but it definitely was a process, and like you're just wasting money that I want to go to kids. It's not going there because I'm trying to figure out different ways of doing things. But at the end of the day, we did do a really good job of helping a lot of people. We were really just active in the community with time and resources. I feel like now, the time part, the actual commitment, me being out there is so much like it's only here and there. Versus like writing checks and putting resources into the best place that I feel like they can be more efficient is what I'm doing now, which is I feel like the better way of doing it. But at the same time though, if you got a big heart and you want to go out there and do the logistics and you want to put everything together, go for it. But I just try to encourage guys like there's people already doing that. You ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Just support the people who are already doing it.
Yeah. So you said that, and you corrected yourself. You said that I wasn't a CEO then, which makes me believe obviously you see yourself as a CEO now. And a lot of athletes in the NFL, try to become a brand, right? In themselves, they are the CEO of their lives, and becoming a brand is tough, right? There's over 1,800 players, and everybody is its own individual. So how does one market themselves inside of a landscape? Obviously, this is the biggest, sports business in America. How do you market yourself to become that individual or become a brand?
Yeah, I think everything starts with success on the football field. The more successful you are, the bigger your brand's going to be always. Every person who plays in the NFL, you are the CEO of, your individual brand, and you're the CEO because we're individual contractors. Each team, we get a loyalty for that team, but I'm a Raven. You can hate the Browns, you can hate the Steelers, you can hate the Cincinnati Bengals, but then at the same time, if I was to get cut, I could be a Brown, a Steeler, or a Bengal, and so it's just crazy when you think about that because it's like the loyalty is in the moment, but we're individual contractors. I want to keep playing football, so if the Ravens don't want me no more, and I want to keep playing football, then it depends on who wants me. So it's just kind of like it's unique, in a sense. So your brand is separate from the team brand and everything else. Individual contractors, but you got to realize I got to put together a process, a business plan for how I want to grow my value, and so just from a football standpoint and trying to make investments on how I can improve my value from taking care of your body, from eating healthy to all the other things that go into it. There's just a process that you have to kind of lay out, and it should be structured. You should put together actual actual process and plan. I feel like a lot of guys don't really do that. It took a while for me to do that. I had to learn business. You ain't really got to be a CEO in actual life. You just be a CEO of your brand and your football brand. But when I was younger, people used to always say you have to have another hustle. You have to have another hustle. You have to have another hustle. Football money ain't enough. People going broke all the time, and there was some article that came out that said I think it was 75% of people, 78% of people were broke or in financial distress after 2 years of playing football. And I thought that was just a crazy number, but I started trying to do some stuff. I wanted to create these companies. I hired some consultants. I'm spending money trying to figure out how I can make more money. And after a while, I was sitting there talking with my best friends, and he was like, you really ain't gotta do none of this. You really could just play football and make enough and be good as long as you save your bread. You ain't gotta spend it. You good. If you spend it and invest it, you good. And I was like, I had an epiphany. It was I'm too busy to be a CEO. I ain't got enough time. I can do it for a small window before I start training really hard from whenever my season ends, if it's January, February, if I'm lucky enough to go to Super Bowl, to when I start training really hard in April. I got a short, small window where I could be a real CEO. But other than that, I can't really be a CEO. I got to be, I got to put football first because that's where I'm going to grow the most, that's where I'm going to have the most value. And so it's kind of tough because it's I view myself more as an investor. I try to invest into real CEOs, and I try to, if I can find somebody who's doing really good work, we can create a partnership where I don't have to be there all the time and I can kind of just add value where I can and be able to reap the benefits from it. That's the ideal scenario. So I try to tell guys, you ain't got to be a CEO. Now you do see guys start to call the lines, start their, different businesses and stuff. Right. I'm like, if it's content creation and things that you can do while you're playing football, great. Yeah. But at the same time, it's you need good partners. Yeah. You need people who actually can run something that, you trust. And you see the Big Baller brand, and they had a guy running their brand, and he was stealing from them,
This is true.
It's it's tough because it's we ain't got time to be trying to, checks and balances and everything else. So it's kind of hard. So I'm like, man, I had a teammate who played for 4 years, and he didn't take care of his bread like he's supposed to, and he was working at AutoZone. And I was like, man, if he would just took care of his bread and waited till he was done to spend his money, he could have franchised and had 3, 4, or 5 AutoZones,
Oh.
And I thought that was kind of deep when you think about it from the pictures. I try to tell guys all the time, man, hold your bread. Best case, if you like me, I'm 36 now. So I was retired today. I'll be 36, starting my next career with a big booster of revenue, of capital to be able to go and do whatever I want to do next. If I want to, I'm lucky enough where I made enough money where I don't have to, do anything. I can just sit home and collect a check from my assets, my investments, and live the life I want to live. But but even if you're a guy who plays 5, 6 years, you don't really make a whole bunch of money. Then you take what you did make, and then you go and do your next career. Then you go have that startup capital. You can have proof of concept capital to do whatever you want to do next if you want to become a businessman, or you could just create investments and get a simple job and whatever you want to do.
Yeah. So what are some of the investments that interest you? Obviously, as your career is winding down, what's life after football look like in terms of future business creations and investments?
Yeah, that's a big question there, because I got a lot. So I start with the things I want to do when I'm done playing. I want to get more involved in real estate. I already do some real estate, and I've been learning a lot, but I want to get into development. I know Emmitt Smith and Bruce Smith are two people I would consider somewhat of a mentor. Yeah. I don't talk to them enough yet, but
Warwick Dunn, you cool with him?
Yeah, Warwick Dunn as well. And so I don't know his story as much, and I have never talked to him about business like I did with Emmitt and Bruce. but I definitely will add him to the list.
Yeah, you got 178 properties in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Florida legend.
Yeah. And I want to do business in Florida, so I'm definitely gonna reach out to him.
Yeah.
He's a legend. But real estate is a world I want to be in. I also I want to get into content creation. I also want to kind of something similar to what you guys are doing, where it's just educating people and just like kind of like keeping sports, business, just kind of lifestyle and everything else attached to it. But then I'm definitely gonna do some broadcasting just because I feel like I put myself in a position and I think it'd be fun to kind of stay close to the game that way.
I feel like it's a natural fit, right?
I'm gonna play a little poker. I like poker. Poker's fun too. But from a business standpoint, poker has to be a business too. Like laying out how much I'm willing to spend, how much tournaments entries are, and then how much money I'm bringing in. Like keeping that structured because people go crazy. Lose a lot of money if they don't structure things.
Yeah.
I tell guys all the time too. This is separate from what I'm doing, but just budget your fun. You made it to the NFL. You want to spend a little money? Cool. You earn the right to. But let's just budget it. Let's not just spend money crazy thinking, and you look up and I spent $3-4 million. Nah, let's budget how much we'll spend. You first round pick, you made an $8 million signing bonus. Cool. Let's take that. We'll say, hey, okay, I'm gonna blow 10% of this. $800,000, we're gonna blow. You wanna go get you a Lamborghini truck? Get your Lamborghini truck. Spend that $400,000. You want to get your piece of jewelry? Go ahead and get it. But just budget it. You don't spend $800,000. That's it. So a lot of these guys, they just start swiping their car, and look up and like, dang, how I spend that much money? Because you ain't organized. You got to be organized. But poker, I want to be organized in poker in that world.
Is the Lambo truck the thing of the NFL? Every player today has said that, you want the Lambo truck? Get the Lambo truck.
I think it's the new toy that a lot of rookies are getting.
It's okay.
I drive a Tesla, but I'm also invested in Tesla stock. So I drive a Tesla because I'm invested in Tesla stock. Which I got in 2013, so I did pretty well in the Tesla.
Oh wow!
And I sold some of it more recently. I kind of sold before I got all the way to the top, but I still made a pretty penny.
Up there, I'd say.
But that's why I drive a Tesla. I try to use products that I'm invested in. So the stock market has been, that's one of my favorite things to do. I started investing in 2013, and it's been really good for me.
I mean, obviously you're OG in the locker room. Do you see players and maybe your teammates looking at investments, venture capital, as a way to have ownership but have long-term capital when they finish playing? Do you see that?
So I don't think a lot of guys are thinking about their long-term capital like they should be. So I think it's the process. As guys get to that second, third contract, that's when they start really kind of being a little more informed and trying to invest a little better. Some guys have good people around them that help them in that world. So there are definitely some people who are well connected with the right people who are connected with the right deals that can grow. I know like JJ Watt and a couple people that was with the Texans and stuff invested in Blaze Pizza before it became a big deal when LeBron was getting in it. The deal kind of like passed by me, but I didn't know enough to grab into that one. Kind of mad I missed out on that one. But I feel like there are a lot of guys who are looking for opportunities to grow their resources, but the biggest thing is education. So I feel like I'm in the locker room all the time saying the same thing I'm saying to y'all right now to them individually all the time. And so it's really about and being informed in what you do. But I think that venture capitalists get involved in kind of like early stage investments and trying to grow with them. It's a lot more risk there though, so you want to do a lot lower. But I think there's an investment I'm in. It's called Next Play Capital. It's a guy who played in the league. Ryan Neese's dad is Ronnie Lott, and so they're well connected in the venture capitalist world. And he does like a fund of funds that I'm a part of. That is kind of cool, because it allows me to get access to the tech world and tech space. And I go up to Silicon Valley all the time, and I've been in rooms with some really high level people in that venture capitalist world. And it's just kind of just educating myself and learning, and it's cool. I'm getting some good returns back. It's solid. It's a really good portfolio and stuff like that.
Well, it's been a pleasure, my brother. Thank you for joining us, man.
For sure, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the show, man. So I'm glad y'all were able to have me on, man. I appreciate it, man.
This is dope, man. Shout out to the NFLPA again. It's been a dope experience, man. Just as a sports fanatic, football fanatic, and obviously one of the most important weeks of the year in the season for the NFL. To have us part of it, I'm very gracious, so thank you.